a 70-year-old American who has lived every year of my life with the United States at war. I regard the United States as the most lawless and dangerous country in the world by far. And I want to explain that in the context of our discussion. First, we have the biggest war machine by far. It's about $1.5 trillion a year, all in. The Pentagon is $1 trillion. Add in the CIA and the other intelligence agencies. Add in many other departments, Homeland Security, the veterans who are all maimed because of endless wars, and you get to about $1.5 trillion. It swamps all the rest of the world. The United States is the only country that has ever used atomic weapons, and when they were used under completely false pretenses. They were not to speed the end of the war because Japan was begging to surrender. But Truman wanted to show Stalin a thing or two. And so not just one, but two atomic bombs were used. And the United States never expressed a moment of regret, because this is how an imperial power of the strength of the United States acts. The United States has walked out of crucial nuclear arms agreements that were built to stabilize the world. In 2002, the United States walked out of the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty unilaterally. This is the most important reason for the Ukraine war. People should understand, not in terms of international law, in terms of facts. Because this was the great destabilizer of Central and Eastern Europe. This was the great real crime against Russia, because Russia said, what are you doing putting in Aegis missile systems in Poland, in Romania? What are you doing threatening to put in such systems in Ukraine? This is what this discussion has been about, and I've been part of it for 25 years. I've watched this close up. The United States walked out of the Intermediate Nuclear Force Agreement in 2019, and that's why we have the Oreshnik launched yesterday, 2 days ago, by Russia, because that is an intermediate nuclear, an intermediate ballistic missile that would have been prohibited under the INF. But when the U.S. walked out of the INF, Russia accelerated. Now we have a 10 Mach intermediate range missile that targets every city of Europe. This is the United States damage. So when we think about war, this is not the same thing as violence or conflict. You can have lots of conflict without war. The United States is a very violent society. It used to lynch African Americans with impunity. That was mobs. That was not war. War is a state action. War is action by states. And this is very important. What von Clausewitz said in 1832 is really the key to understanding what is happening. War is the continuation of politics with other means. It is a state action. One should look at states. And when it comes to our world today, you have to look at the great powers to understand these wars. Even the war of Israel and Palestine right now, this is a U.S. war and a proxy war between the U.S. and Iran, every bit as much as it's a war of Israel and Palestine. And so this needs to be understood. What is the source of these wars? Why is the U.S. in Ukraine essentially fighting a war with the Ukrainians dying? This is what needs to be really understood.